book come to be?
My dissertation was on something that I coined empathic resonance at the time, which in the language I used then meant kind of flow experiences between people. And I personally experienced these moments, I guess, of connection in my working life and my personal life, and I knew them to be important in so many ways, in terms of how I thought about things, in terms of how I experienced being in human relating. So I started to wonder, okay, these flow, as I was calling it then, this sort of empathic resonance, the moments of real connection, how might that occur? Might it occur in leadership relations, the leader-follower relation? And if these sorts of connections might happen there, what would it mean? And what I was seeing in organisations was not a move towards encounter, I was seeing a move actually towards alienation. So that was a powerful call, and that's how I went into my doctoral studies, and that was I suppose where this book started. Because back in my dissertation, when I was looking at flow, I'd come across Martin Buber's work on I-thou dialogue. I mean, very briefly, but I'd recognised something in it back then. And yet the way that dialogue had been, I suppose, defined so far in relational leadership was was after Bakhtin, so in a very linguistic manner. So it had been studied linguistically, and the utterances between people had been explored really well, but the depth that Buber was considering when he used the word dialogue, that hadn't been used, and so I wondered, you know, what might we learn through Buber's ideas, using them as a lens onto leadership? You know, what would we be able to see then? So I wondered whether if you could explore how leadership relations work in a group of ostensibly peers, with me in there too, experiencing it in this moment right now, what would we be able to explore? And I was hoping that if we could add a bit of colour to the leadership relation, perhaps it would influence not only theory, but it would influence the way we practice, and it would influence the way we might try and develop and help support leaders. So theoretically, I came up with a kind of a suggested, what I call theory of leader-follower encounter, and to sit within relational leadership theory. So in a theoretical way, I just identified a kind of a gap, which was around how we construct quality in the between space in leadership relations, which still hasn't really been explored very much. But look at the waves going on between us. That was one of my metaphors, was, you know, a boardroom table where everyone's sort of smiling nicely and getting on with it, but there's this hidden, unseen, crashing waves that are going on in between. And so the moments of meeting across the waves are quite extraordinary. You know, it's so noisy, it's such a busy noise. So what I hope the book does is show the colour of the space between, and I hope it's a celebration of that.